Hi, I'm Valerie, and this is my September reading wrap-up. So to jump right in, Z, the Titanic, Unsinkable, UnDead by Chris Pauls. So basic premise, what if the Titanic sank because of zombies? Not the wildest premise I could think of, but potentially entertaining. Unfortunately, not so much. Nazis, stereotypical sort of misogynistic portrayals of women and children, some wooden writing. Oh well, it was a quick one. The next book I read was called DuJour by Temperance Brennan. It was the second book in Kathy Reichs' very prolific series about the forensic anthropologist Temperance Brennan. So I picked up this book in the hope of kind of taking my mind off some of the heavy stuff I was pondering with regard to diet culture. I didn't want to buy the book, so as I found that the library in my county seat had reopened, this was the first book in the series. They didn't have number one, so I picked up number two. And there were parts of it that I found interesting. It's a mystery, as they all are, and it's sort of a series of mysteries. I think she generally has a couple different cases in each of her books, and in it there were fresh cadavers found in an arson investigation, then ended up linked to bodies found on mountaintops, and the very old dead in the form of nun and possible saint. It was okay. I found it a bit dated again in its treatment of some female roles, the guilt that Tempe is feeling, and responsibility towards all the people in her life. I guess I didn't necessarily enjoy reading about. I also don't love some of the author's descriptions of people. I guess it's cool not to like fat people or people in bigger bodies in 1999. Is that the original publishing date? That seems, doesn't seem like that was that long ago, but I guess it's 2020. And again, I'm weird in this, but I could do without the vivid sexy time descriptions. I don't really feel like it adds anything to the story. So, meh. The next book I read was All Boys Aren't Blue by George M. Johnson, which is a much more recent book. It's actually a young adult book, and it was my book club group, not my selection, but it was the group selection for the month. And I want to say that I think it's an important book to have available, especially in the young adult section. One of our group's goals, I guess, is to read and hear a diversity of voices and topics, and I want to try to make sure individually as well that I'm taking in material from people with backgrounds and life experiences that are different than mine. And this one in particular is the memoir of a young man. I think he's maybe 30 at this point. He's gay, has some deals with some gender identity issues. It deals with sexual abuse, and a variety of timely and sort of poignant topics. It was surprising, I guess. It was a set of essays, and I listened to it, read by the author. And I guess I have to say I was surprised. I guess I don't know what young A means anymore. It was essays, but some of it seemed a little bit surface level or superficial to me. And that may be because of the format being essays, or maybe young adult is generally shorter. I don't know enough about the genre. It didn't seem to delve too deeply into many of the topics, and instead just told kind of straightforward narratives of individual experiences, where I guess I would have liked to hear a little bit more motivations and a little more depth of character in some of it. And also, I was kind of surprised at being young adult that there were some very vivid descriptions of molestation and sexual experience, which may not be appropriate for all readers. So interesting, important that it's there. I won't say it was my favorite read of the month. So the final book that I read this month was How Not to Diet, The Groundbreaking Science of Healthy Permanent Weight Loss by Dr. Michael Greger. And this was a really excellent book. I really like the intuitive eating book. This one, I have to say, I might even have liked more. I've been wrestling with my eating, and as I mentioned, this was kind of part of my lifestyle experiment, was to look at some of these different methodologies and strategies. And we'll have linked, and we'll have in the description the video that goes more in depth with this. So Dr. Michael Greger, if you're not familiar with him, he runs the nutritionfacts.org site, and he's kind of devoted his life to keeping on top of all of the different studies that come out with regard to nutrition. And this book is dedicated to what you can do to lose weight safely in a healthy, sustainable way. I liked that it was very science-based, and it talked through the individual studies, and he came up with, they are called the 21 tweaks or tips. And he also has, I will say, a free app called the Daily Dozen that incorporates the 21 tweaks that he recommends in the book, as well as a daily dozen that his book, How Not to Die, as opposed to Diet, also recommends. So, but focusing on this one, the 21 tweaks, at each meal, he recommends that you preload with water. So essentially you have 16 ounces of water half an hour before you eat your meal, that you preload with a negative calorie food, so 100 calories or less, so salad, an apple, whatever. You incorporate vinegar at each meal. You enjoy undistracted meals. You follow the 20-minute rule, so let your natural satiety signals take full effect by eating more slowly, whether that's chewing, setting your fork down, eating in an undistracted way, etc. Every day, he recommends that you take daily doses of black cumin, garlic powder, ground ginger or cayenne, nutritional yeast, regular cumin, green tea, 3 glasses of, that you stay hydrated, which you can tell if your pee stays lighter than a straw color. You deflour your diet, you front load your calories early in the day, you time restrict your eating to about a 12-hour window, you optimize your exercise timing by doing it at the beginning of the day fasted, you weigh yourself twice a day, and you complete implementation intentions, which essentially means deciding when and how you're going to do these things. Every night that you fast after 7 p.m., you get at least 7 hours of sleep, and you experiment with mild Trendelenburg, which means sleeping with your head at a 6-degree angle for at least a few hours a night. So I like the direct style of him speaking. It was sort of a wake-up call about inflammation. That had been one of my goals in January of this year, was to try to reduce inflammation in my body. And he's really straight up about all animal products being inflammatory. It was a wake-up call also for me that it's no bueno that I'm using stevia, that it does still cause a sugar spike, and maybe confusing my brain as to craving additional sugar later.